Alrighty, guys. Last but not least, and definitely with the best stash we've seen through 2 days, we have Corey Gaynor. And we are going to go right into questions for Corey. We're going to start with David Lake of 24/7 Sports. David, if you had a question for Corey.
Corey, hey, man, I actually wanted to ask you about the guys you go up against in practice, the defensive tackles. The defensive ends, those guys get a lot of attention for their athleticism. I was wondering, I just wanted to pick your brain, I guess, who in your opinion would be the most athletic defensive tackle that you go up against in practice, and why? Like, what impresses you about that player's athleticism?
I would say either John Ford. He's just so big and long, and he has a lot of moves. And then Jalar Holly's quick and twitchy. He's got a plethora of moves also. And then Nesta's, he's solid. So those three guys right there in the rotation are all great D tackles.
Awesome. Corey, next we're going to go to Matt Shodell from Kane Sport. Matt, if you had a question for Corey.
Sure thing. Hey, Corey. So obviously, last year the line didn't do great. So I was wondering, you had the 4 spring practices, you've been back for about a month and now back in practice. Can you talk a little bit about maybe what's improved about this year's line compared to last year, why there's a lot more hope and reason for optimism with this group?
Just a whole nother year together. No offensive lineman left. So it's just all about spending time together and just fighting for your brother, I would say. Just we're together all the time. We're working hard together, and we're all maturing. Like last year was my first year as a starting center. I know Zion's first year in college football. So we were young, and we're just going to continue to work hard and to be the best offensive line we could be.
Great. Corey, we're going to Manny Navarro from The Athletic next. Manny, if you had a question for Corey.
Hey, Corey. I remember last year at this time, we were all talking about Zion Nelson and how much weight he was trying to put on. And now he's listed like at 312. Do you remember, just looking at his body, how much he's changed and maybe how much he's changed as a player?
Yeah, Zion works extremely hard on his nutrition. He's got a great frame. That's exactly why he's able to put on such good weight. And he's been working hard in the weight room. And what I've seen from Zion as a player, like I said before, his maturity, Zion is becoming a student of the game, I would say. So he's just going to keep working hard. We're going to keep our heads down, and we're just going to keep going hard.
Has he adjusted well? Sorry, just as a quick follow-up.
Oh, you're good.
The adjustment to guard, and Coach just talked about how he might be better suited for that, especially now that he's got more of the weight on. How does he look from that perspective?
Yeah, he's getting adjusted to guard. He's right next to me, so if he has any questions, I'm able to help him on the fly. So it's a good spot for Zion.
Thanks.
Awesome. We're going to go to Susan Miller-Degnan of the Miami Herald. Susan, if you had a question for Corey.
Hey, Corey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm getting the hang of Zoom. Anyway.
I can see that.
Pretty good today. All right. Anyway, I wanted to know about your chemistry with DeAndre King and just some comments about him and working with him really for the first time. And the other part of the question was, Derek's style is someone who obviously can take off and run. He's very elusive. As someone who is very elusive, that's somewhat different from last year. How nice is that? How beneficial is that for the line? And what kind of challenges are involved with that? I asked Garen Justice that also.
So our chemistry, we're working on just becoming one person, essentially. We both share one brain at the line of scrimmage. It's going to take time to get there, but I think we're getting really good. The first 2 practices have gone amazing for me and him, and then the practices in spring and all the OTAs we've been going through. And then the second part of that question, I think he's a very dynamic football player. He's a leader. He's got his head on his shoulders, and his running ability helps us tremendously in our offense. And what bad comes with that? I do not think any bad comes with that. I think he's a great
with the
football player.
line. Okay, I meant the line. With the offensive line, does it present any? How do you guys have to adjust to that? Someone who runs a lot.
Not as much as you may think, because he's going to move out of the way if somebody's trying to tackle him.
Okay, thanks.
Corey, we're going to go to David Ferrones of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, if you had a question for Corey.
Sure. Hey, Corey. I want to know the tackles early on. Obviously, you guys added Jared Williams. Your impression of him early on, and then also John Campbell. Garen Justice was telling us what he's been doing at left tackle so far. So, what you've seen out of him?
So Jared, he's been both of the tackles. I think all the tackles are competing really, really hard. I think they're all fighting for a job, and they all care. And it's going to be awesome to watch down the stretch how this unfolds. I think Jared is gifted. Would be the word. I said he's massive. I think he's a legit 6'7". He's big. When he gets his hands on people, he moves them. And then John Campbell's having a great first 2 days of practice. He's smart, and he's playing with great technique.
Awesome. Corey, we're going to go to Tom D'Angelo of the Palm Beach Post. Tom, if you had a question for Corey.
Hey, Corey, just to follow a little bit more on D'Eric, obviously plays a position of being a leader, and he's shown he can do that. Just what were your impressions of him, his leadership ability? He's been involved in other things off the field that show leadership and being out in front. What are your impressions on all that part of him?
So as a quarterback, one of the traits you want to have is guys come to you. You want to be a magnet for guys in the locker room, and DeAndre King is definitely a magnet. Guys want to play for him, play with him should be the word I use. Play with him, and we want to be successful. So he's a great leader, and he's really good for our football team.
Awesome. Corey, last but not least, we have Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny, if you wanted to wrap up with Corey.
Yeah. Hey, Corey, Coach Justice talked about, you guys at times going up against bags, I guess, in practice. And I'm wondering how, you feel like you're going to be prepared enough from a physical standpoint. I know obviously you guys are doing some social distancing things. But as far as preparation and what you would normally do, compared to last year, how does it feel? And will you be physically ready for the opener?
Yeah, so we're not just using any regular bags. We're using the Charles Bentley bags, and it's specifically designed for the offensive linemen. So I feel like there's going to be no dump off because we're hitting people every day. We're going to be blocking people every day. But the bags is a good way to be social distancing and not being on each other. So I think it's great that we're using the bags and keeping our distance, being safe.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Corey.
Corey, thanks for spending a few minutes with us tonight, and good luck the rest of practice. I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.